Hey everybody, in this next video lesson, we're going to talk about something called Le Chatelier's principle. What is Le Chatelier's principle? Well, Le Chatelier's principle applies to reactions at equilibrium. And if a reaction is at equilibrium and a stress is put onto that reaction, either through an increase or decrease in concentration, a change in temperature, or a change in pressure, the reaction will shift the amount of reactants and products that are in the equilibrium mixture in order to relieve the stress. Now, this is kind of hard to follow along with, but I'm going to give you lots of examples, and hopefully through my explanations it'll become more clear to you. But every reaction that establishes at equilibrium does not want to change its equilibrium. Once it's got a K value at a specific temperature, it does not want to change its K value. And if you change the concentration, the temperature, or the pressure, for a moment in time, the K value might go up or down, but it's going to want to reestablish its original K value because that is the constant. And what is a constant but for a number that doesn't change? And so for a moment, it's not constant, but the constant will be reestablished. And Le Chatelier's principle says that if a stress is put on a reaction at equilibrium, the reaction will shift either left towards the reactant side or right towards the product side in order to relieve that stress. Consider this example. You're standing on the floor and you're at a concert and you're watching your favorite band. And then someone from behind you kind of starts pushing on you. And what do? Do you just go forward with them? Well, usually no, you stand your ground. You push back. So you are at equilibrium sitting there watching your favorite band, and someone from behind you displaces your equilibrium. And as a result of that stress, you push back. You try to reestablish that equilibrium. The harder they push, the more you push back. That's kind of what Le Chatelier says, is that if you push a reaction towards the products, well, the products are going to push back towards the reactants to try and reestablish that K value. Because just like us, chemical reactions want to stay at equilibrium. They don't want to be moved and jostled and pushed around. They just want to be left alone. And if you push on them, they'll push back so that equilibrium is reestablished. So let's first start with concentration, shall we? So we've got a chemical reaction. And this is a very common chemical reaction that produces ammonia. You take nitrogen gas and hydrogen gas and you produce ammonia. This happens to be an exothermic reaction, and the equilibrium expression looks like this. We've got NH3 squared over N2 times H2 cubed. Remember, we learned how to write equilibrium expressions in the last video lesson. Now, the equilibrium constant for this reaction is 1.45 times 10 to the negative fifth. That's a really, really, really small number, which means that this is a very much reactants-favored situation. That means the concentration at equilibrium of N2 and H2 are much, much higher than the concentration of NH3. But there is an equilibrium established, and because of that, I should have a double-sided arrow. Now, what happens if you have this reaction that's at equilibrium and you increase the amount of nitrogen gas in the chemical reaction? Well, the concentration of the N2 is going to go up. That's one of the reactants. And so this number is going to go down momentarily, right? Increase the denominator means that the constant goes down. And because of that, you increase this, the constant goes down and says, hey, I want to be bigger than I really am. And the only way to get bigger is to reduce the amount of reactants and increase the amount of products. So by adding N2, what you're doing is you're pushing this reaction to the right. This is Le Chatelier saying, relieve the stress. Increase the amount of NH3, make that top number get bigger and make that bottom number get smaller so that I can reestablish the equilibrium constant of 1.45 times 10 to the negative fifth. So increasing the concentration of the reactant side causes the product side to go up and shift this reaction towards the right. And that's what we say, that the reaction shifts to the right or shifts towards the products in order to relieve the stress. Along those same lines, if you take this reaction at equilibrium and you add more ammonia gas to the reaction mixture, what you're going to do is you're going to cause the amount of products to increase. And for a moment of time, since the products are higher than they used to be, then K will get bigger because the numerator goes up and the denominator stays the same. And so your ratio of products over reactants is bigger than it wants to be. And so what this reaction does is say, hey, that's a stress on the product side. I'm going to shift to the left. I'm going to make more N2 and H2 gas. I'm going to try and make that denominator number bigger so that this number goes down. And when the reaction shifts to the left, the NH3 gets consumed. Some of the stuff that you added in gets consumed, and some of the reactants get made, and equilibrium is reestablished. So if you increase the concentration of a substance of the reaction will shift away from that stress. Increase the reactants, the reaction will shift right. Increase the products, the reaction will shift to the left. Next, we're going to talk about what to do when you add heat to a situation that's at equilibrium. And my advice to you is don't treat heat in any special way. We learned about in the thermodynamics unit that heat can just be treated as a reactant or a product depending on if it's exothermic or endothermic. Now this reaction, once again, happens to be exothermic, and let's just treat it as a product. And so if we add heat to a reaction where heat is on the product side, it's going to shift away from that side. Just like if we added product, it will shift to the left. If we add heat to an exothermic situation, it's going to shift to the left. It's going to try and produce more reactants so that this reaction will use up some of its products and reestablish that K value. Now, if the heat was on the reactant side and you added heat, well, then that would shift the reaction to the right, causing more products to increase and reducing the amount of reactants in this case. And it stands to reason that if you take away the heat, well, that's the same as taking away some of the product. If you take away the heat, you remove the heat from an exothermic situation, what you're doing is you're lowering the product side, and so the reaction stresses towards the right. It's going to want to fill that void. It's going to fill that vacuum. Take the heat away, the N2 and the H2 are going to react to try and produce more heat to replace the heat that you keep removing. So cooling it down can also shift towards the side with more heat. And if you cool down an endothermic reaction, well, then it's going to pull the reaction towards the left. In other words, the reaction will shift left, the products will produce some of the reactants to try and replace the heat that you are removing from the situation at equilibrium. And the final stress that I want to talk about today is for pressure. And it's important to note that pressure only affects equilibrium when there's an unequal number of moles of gas on the reactants and product side. Take a look at my reaction. I have 1 mole of N2 and 3 moles of H2. So I have 4 moles of gas on the reactant side. And I'm producing 2 moles of gas on the product side. And so I have an unbalanced number of moles of gas on the reactants and product side. So the first thing you need to do is pay close attention to what side has more moles of gas. Now, this is what happens. When you add pressure, and you add pressure by reducing the volume, remember, increase pressure, lower volume, it will shift to the side with less moles of gas. So basically, in this situation, I've got a lot of moles of gas on the reactant side, and I squeeze these moles of gas by increasing the pressure and lowering the volume. And what it's going to do is the reaction is like, oh, we're too crowded. We need to relieve the pressure that we're under. The only way to do that is to actually take some of our moles of gas and turn into my product, which is less moles of gas. So you're basically adding pressure by squeezing the gas particles to cause more product to be produced. That will stress this reaction right. Now, in this case, it stresses it right, but if you had more moles of gas on the product side, then it would squeeze it back to the left. Now, removing the pressure will shift it to the side with more moles of gas. So let's say you have this reaction, and instead of like a 2-liter container, you put it into a 10-liter container. You're like, oh, we have so much more space that we can fill up. And in order to fill that empty space, the reaction is like, oh, we have way more space. Why don't we produce more moles of gas by shifting towards the side where there is more moles of gas? And so that's what the reaction will do. It will feel that the liters have gone up and the pressure has gone down, and the reaction will shift to the side with more moles of gas. And in this case, it'll shift left. So these are the 3 stresses that would be put on a chemical reaction at equilibrium. They are concentration, heat, and pressure. And I think it would be a good idea to really study these and maybe even make a few Quizlet flashcards in order to make sure that you really hammer home the concepts of the different stresses and how they affect a chemical equilibrium. Well, that takes care of this video lesson. Thanks for watching.